So I'm super stoked to talk to you about today. I guess I have to load this up. But first of all, how about a big round for Liz, Ed, Kelly, and the whole team? This is just phenomenal. You know, it's funny. I think this is my fourth Planner Tech, and I remember last time we did it in the middle of a hurricane. Liz, can I get my deck loaded, please? Last time we did it in the middle of a hurricane. We've done it, gosh. So it's just so amazing to see so many beautiful people, so many event professionals coming together. And my focus today, and today's talk is going to be about operations. So, you know, we can talk about cool stuff all day long. At the end of the day, we have jobs to do. So we're going to talk about operational tools of helping you get your job done. The title of my talk is Technology, Events, and You. There we go. Awesome. And, you know, let me just start out with what I believe. You know, I believe that good planning makes for great experiences. So the onus is on us to make our stakeholders and our clients proud of what we do. Because the events that we put on have three purposes. We're either fighting for a cause, we're either connecting people, or people are connected at our events, or we're trying to market a brand. And that's whether it's internal or external. It doesn't matter whether I'm at American Express corporate events or I'm at Plan A events from Brooklyn. So really quick about me. I'm a computer programmer, so speaking in event technology is especially humbling. I used to work for a member of Congress. I was his body man, which meant I went to a ton of events with him. I then organized 30 special events a year at a nonprofit here in New York. And I started Social Tables 2 years ago. I was named 40 Under 40 by a couple of industry magazines, and my company was just nominated Best Industry Innovation by ISIS, which is probably the most humbling thing that can ever happen to me as a company owner, now that we've reached 20 employees. Social Tables, in case you don't know, we're an operational tool to figure out where things go in your events and then render it in 3D. This is who we serve. Anyway, we have two learning objectives today. The first one is finding the right technology. You can be inundated with technology, but at the end of the day, it might not actually be for you. So we have to figure out what works for you, kind of like a filter test, right? Like I usually use the S word, so SH asterisk T, the shit test. Is this going to actually help me? Because it's going to help me save time and help me impress my clients. The second objective is to get you excited, just like this little girl. And I want to get you excited about it because when there's so much technology and so much noise around us, we can just be inundated with just stuff. So how do we get excited about the things that are important to us and our clients? Because that's what we're meant to do, is serve our clients. Agenda, I want to hear from you. I don't have time for that, so I'm going to skip over it. I'm sorry. Gotcha. And then we're going to talk about overview of the planning life cycle. What does an event planning life cycle actually mean? I think a lot of people kind of focus on one little part of the event planning life cycle, and they forget that there's a ton of other stuff around that life cycle. We'll do a deep dive into different technology, and then I'll teach you how to stay abreast of all the different information that's coming at you. All right, so we're going to talk about 40 technology solutions in 18 minutes. I don't know if I can do it. Let's go. The planning life cycle. It starts out with a proposal. Hey, I really want to serve you. Here's what I can do for you. Here's my portfolio. And then goes to inspiration. Here's where I'm inspired. Here's where I get information. Here's what I think I can make your event look like. We then talk about fundraising. How do we get money? It's harder and harder, even though the economy is picking up. It's harder and harder to get money to a cause. How do you do it? Site selection. You walk around, look at places. Oh, this place is good. This place is bad. How do you keep track of that? There's so many sites available. Invitation, registration, ticketing, list management, design, event design. How am I going to bring in the brand to the actual color scheme that I'm using, to the food that I'm serving, to the topics that I'm discussing? Seating. Who sits where? You know, what if we actually used a formula to figure out how we should sit in the room so the person to your right and to your left actually added more value to your life than they are presently? Project management. So many moving pieces. How do we keep track of all that stuff? Time tracking. You have a ton of volunteers. You have to make sure they're either paid or managed properly. Check-in at the event, auction, experiential, augmented reality, whatever, mobile, and then follow up then again so that you can get repeat customers. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. If they don't come back to you after a year, you've lost business, and that's an opportunity wasted. All right, this is how it's going to break down. Old school on the left, new school on the right. Let's go. The old school proposal system, right? It used to be Word. Hey, here's Word, version 250, initials, final draft, .doc. What? No. Now the new way to do it is bid sketch. You put up a proposal online, somebody opens it up, they review it, they actually learn what you're proposing, you get a notification saying, hey, they've reviewed it, and then they can move forward on the proposal. A handshake can happen, cuts down time, gets you business faster. You know about Pinterest, I can keep going. But basically, old school is inspirational board, new school is Pinterest. Now, for those who don't know, Pinterest has private boards, which are really awesome because you can create a private board for your clients, so you can invite them just to see that board as opposed to everything else, and that way you can keep it a little more confidential. Fundraising. So, piggy bank, lemonade stand, phone banking, those days are still alive, I think, in political campaigns, not so much in events and fundraising and cause marketing. The new, really, it's ironic, but that's a billboard for viral marketing. The new viral marketing is passing it on. I can't tell you what the secret formula is for fundraising, but the trick is to make it stand out. There are companies like Eventster, and by the way, I'm from DC. All right, there you go. I'm from DC, so I'm really proud of the companies that are coming out of DC. So whenever you see a little flag up there, that means we're proudly made in DC, and so is the company. So Eventster is a cool company because it can actually help you raise. It's basically Kickstarter for events. When we reach a certain threshold, then we can actually organize the event. Site selection. Whoa. I mean, site selection is one of the hardest things in the world because there's so many beautiful venues that don't get the justice they deserve because they don't have an online presence. So back in the day, we used to have a phone book. Now we have a company like EventUp, like I'm Booking, Josh's company, many, and even the BizBash vendor guide is really good because it's important to find new venues. A venue, I mean, imagine if this event was at a park or at somebody's garage. It'd be so different. Site selection is critical, and you need to find ways of synthesizing all the information about different sites. I recommend EventUp as a good place because they have different marketplaces. I'm Booking as well. I think Josh is in the house. Invitations. What? Evite? Who remembers this company? That was like, I mean, seriously. This is for like this Evite's for like your company, your boring company's like holiday party that starts at 4 o'clock, ends at 5:30. That's over. The new way of doing invitations, I'll talk about Event Farm a little later, but Event Farm, they do really cool customized stuff. Zipmint is basically a way to actually get a physical invitation to someone for $15. So all that money you might be spending on actually getting somebody an eyeball on your invitation, you can use in a real-life invitation. Oh, God. All right. Enjoy lunch. Help. No. All right. All right. Here we go. Okay. For those who have to have a meeting at 1 or something, feel free to dip out. Paperless Post, I love, and what's cool about Paperless Post, they just kind of got rid of their old Flash site, so you can actually open up on mobile devices. And I always kind of talk about the BlackBerry email. Any invitation that's not built for mobile is a waste of time and a waste of money. So Paperless Post, non-Flash, is very much better. Registration. We can talk about registration all day long. I think there's a couple of neat ways to do it. The old way was like a Microsoft Access database. The new way is actually using something like a registration form. A lot of companies try to charge you a lot of money because they do kind of custom registration that will fit your brand, and then they hook up like merchant accounts and God knows what else. You can actually do registration quite simply, especially if it's a very targeted audience at an association or when you have a list in-house, through form sites like Wufoo. Or like Google Docs. It'll automatically get in a spreadsheet. It'll be much easier to track of everything. So in my opinion, registration is a time suck. It's a money suck. Don't use it unless you have to and your client is demanding it. But when you have internal stakeholders, you can use a survey like Google Docs or Wufoo just to achieve the same purpose. Ticketing. We can go on for days. Everybody knows Eventbrite, but I actually want to talk about Flavor Us. They're personally one of my favorite ticketing companies. They do the Grammys. They do like a really massive festivals. But they have an amazing, they have now these amazing branded tickets for events that look like credit cards that can be for your client or for your whether company. And they work just like Eventbrite. Awesome company out of LA. List management, my God. I mean, the old days we did Excel, right? I mean, to this day, even some of the biggest, you'd be amazed, some of the biggest nonprofits still run their database off of Excel. It's quite scary. So instead, if you have to use a list, I recommend Google Docs because you can share it. Everybody knows about Google Docs. It's real-time collaboration on documents. But Salesforce is also really picking up in the nonprofit and higher ed space as a CRM, contact relationship management. So Salesforce is really, really awesome, really customizable. And for nonprofits and for higher ed, so if you're a 501c3, it's actually like really cheap. It's 20% the regular price of Salesforce. Salesforce can be up to $200 a person a month, but for nonprofits, it's 20% less, 20% of that price. So it's like $20 per user, where the first 10 users free. People don't know that. That's offered through the Salesforce Foundation. Really great tool, and there's a reason why it's the market leader when it comes to CRM and why they're picking up in nonprofit. Event design. The old days, you might have like loaded up a start menu. You go to start, you go to programs, you go to some sort of Visio or something else that you might use to create a diagram. We offer floor plan design. It's an operational tool to figure out where things go. Another company that's much more advanced than us and actually started in a movie production is called Vivian. They're based out of Toronto. They create 2D and 3D models that come out really beautiful. And then seating. Seating charts is really funny. Excuse me. That's the old way, right? Post-its and Sharpies. David Stark Designs. I don't know if anybody here from David Stark Designs. Yeah, one of the best firms in town. No bias. Award-winning. Their clients still use, you might want to put earmuffs on, their clients still use Post-its and Sharpies, which is ironic, right? The best design firm in town is using this stuff. So out with the old, in with the new. Seating charts are available on the Knot or Wedding Wire for free. You can sign up and pretend like you're having a wedding, but let people do seating charts. Social Tables has a module to do seating charts as well. Top Table Planner is pretty simple and also good for seating charts as well. Project management. This is really where we get into the kind of guts of what we do. At the end of the day, event and meeting professionals like ourselves are actually project managers. We're just project managers with style, right? So. You like that? You can have it. So the old way of doing it is using Gantt charts. Gantt charts are basically a way of listing tasks, listing dependencies of those tasks, setting a start time and end time, a responsibility, etc. It's really, really difficult, and it was done in Excel. The new way of doing project management is, there's a few ways, and I'll share with you my favorite one. My favorite one is called Asana. It's basically social task management. As you can see over here, this is my Asana. We have projects. We have a project called marketing, a project called sales, and in it you can assign things to people. So when it's complete, you get a notification via email that says, hey, this person is done with a task. What's really cool, and when it comes to client work, is that the first 50 accounts in Asana are free. So you can actually use Asana with every client and have a project for every one of your projects, and then invite clients to collaborate so they get notified and are kept abreast of what's going on with the event. And we all know the more communication that's automated, the less communication that's manual. So I really love things like this that bring in email and accept that email is not going away. So let's work on top of email with tools that are available. So Asana is totally awesome for project management and task management. Nowadays, when I have something to assign somebody in my company, I don't send them an email. I create a task, and they get notification. Another one that's really, really awesome is called Smartsheet, and that's basically a spreadsheet 2.0. It's a way of actually, if you can see that in here, you have two kinds of views. You have the Gantt view, which is kind of very task-oriented, and then you also have a calendar view, which is really missing from Excel. I can put a bunch of rows that says do Thursday, do Friday, do Saturday, but I can't visualize that. With Smartsheet, you can actually visualize an Excel spreadsheet, which is really awesome. Basecamp, and this is one of our customers is a high-end celebrity planner, and one of her clients said to her, "Hey, I want to use Basecamp." Now imagine that. You're one of the leading event planners in the country, and your client is dictating to you what technology they want to use. That we as event professionals have to stay ahead of the curve and actually inform them what the best tools for the job are. So let's not find ourselves kind of behind the times where it's a client's making a request for a certain technology. Let's set the conversation and set the tone that we are advanced technologists. So Basecamp is another one, a good project management tool. Time tracking. Time tracking is really important because you got so many moving pieces in an event. Old ways is kind of the pink card and clocking in. New ways, rescue time. If you're trying to keep track of what people are doing on their computer, I know you might think it's voyeuristic, but it's very important when you have people who are working for you to know what they're doing. So this keeps track of what apps they're actually using and what browser they have open, what percent of the time they have Microsoft Word open as opposed to Gmail. So if you have a lot of employees, that's a good way of making sure they're doing their job. I know you're grinning, but it's important. And the other piece is Harvest. Harvest is time tracking, so people can basically clock in and clock out whenever they get somewhere. And then you get a report saying, hey, this person worked X amount of hours, so you can pay them adequately. Auctions. I think there's an auction company out there in the trade show. I haven't said hello to them yet, but you should check them out. They're next to us. That being said, auctions used to be done with old cards, where you got a card when you arrived. The new way of doing it is BidPal or 501 Auctions, another DC company. They're really, really great. They've done stuff with Junior League and a bunch of others. They basically let you do auctioning through your phone, silent auctions. Okay, cool. Check-in. Check-in that's the old way of clipboard. It's funny. When you show up with a clipboard to an event, you look pretty unprofessional, I hate to tell you. You always should have a clipboard as a backup, but you should be using apps at this point. Apps are reliable. They have offline mode. The two that I recommend are Check-in Easy and Event Farm, both DC-based. What? We're seeing a trend here, people? So they're really awesome. Event Farm is next to us and the trade show. And Check-in Easy, they're doing really, really well. I think they have 3 guys and they have like 1,000 customers or something. So they're doing something right. Experiential. The old days was name tags. Now it's things like Splash, which I think Ben is speaking today. It's Pastano. It's basically a way of just making people connect. It's so ironic. We go to events to connect and we end up looking at our phone the whole time. So instead, let's look up at a big screen, like this one right over here. Mobile, Bizabos here, Bloodhound, Lanyard. What I really love about Lanyard is that if you're any conference managers here? Cool. What's cool about Lanyard is you put your conference schedule online, and then people can actually see the conference schedule and attend virtually, and then kind of follow the speaker through it. So they can actually say, hey, I'm going to Don's boring talk about apps, and then they can actually connect with the people at that talk. So it actually socializes your conference schedule, which is awesome, and I'd love to see more associations using this stuff. I'm really passionate about associations, so if you want to talk about association, please ping me. All right, follow-up. We used to do email. Hey, thanks for coming. Now we do it through Pathable, which is building a community from your event. And essentially, an event is a community, so why not build up on that community and make it live longer? So by having a community online for the people who attended your event, you kind of have a private social network, which is really, really awesome. SurveyMonkey. How many people here do surveys after events? Awesome. Everybody should be doing surveys because it does 2 things. Number 1, it makes you better, and number 2, it signals to people that you care. So I love surveys. SurveyMonkey is free and awesome. So if you're looking for a holistic solution, these are some of the options you have. Cvent just went public. I think their stock doubled the first day of trading from $19 a share to $30 a share. They're doing something right. Certain eTouches is here. I'm sure some of the reps will talk to you if you want. This is a much more holistic solution. It's much more expensive. We're looking at anywhere north of 20K per year, or sometimes even 100K. I'm not really sure, but that's really if you have the resources and you really need thousands of features. Apparently I'm wrong. We're looking at much less than that. Awesome. It sounds like there's a discount happening today. I'm just kidding. I'm not informed, so I'm sure somebody from eTouches can educate you on the pricing there. But again, it is a more holistic solution that has many more moving pieces. Cvent, for example, prides itself on about 1,400 features, just to give you a sense of what I'm talking about. So how do you figure out how to use this stuff? Here's a 4-piece framework to do that. The first one is figure out your needs. Right? What technology solution matches your event's goals? If it's connecting people, you might want more experiential stuff. If it's actually giving people content, you might want to use Lanyard because they can see what's going on in the conference and seeing the schedule. The second piece is asking myself, okay, what audience am I serving? Who's actually coming to my event? So, with a younger audience that's technology focused, you might want to have more technology. With an older audience, like the Association of Sociology Professors, you might not need the most, event technology in the world. Budget. There's free stuff, there's costly stuff, there's cheap stuff, there's expensive stuff. You figure out what your client's budget is early on so you can actually know how to deliver. And then finally, plan. Everything has to talk to each other. So how do you make all these events talk to each other? Let's kick it up a notch and learn how to make two different technologies talk to each other without a single line of code. That's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is a way of actually making 2 web services interact. So as you all know, what's going on right now in technologies, there's kind of a movement towards openness, right? Here's my technology. I'm no longer siloed. I want my technology to talk to other technologies because that does one of 2 things. Number 1, it makes everything connected and therefore easier for my client. And number 2, it gives me more customers. So what Zapier does is basically an if this happens, do this. So for example, if I have a new registrant through Wufoo, send me an email that somebody is registered. It's basically creating if-then conditionals. They can be much more complex. So you can do it that when you get an email from the new registration, send them a text message to welcome them to the event. Things like that. And they have like 200 plus webhooks that you might want to look at. So how do you keep a pulse of this stuff? Apart from listening to Corbin Ball, who's by far the industry leader when it comes to technology, and getting his newsletter, you can read Liz King's blog, which is phenomenal. Apart from that, Jeff Hurt does a really good job of covering technology. Another really good one is obviously Event Manager blog, Julia Solaris. I'm sure many of you know him. If not, it's eventmanagerblog.com. Our Social Tables blog, we have really, really great content. We focus mostly on hotels and caterers and event professionals, so we don't cover technology too much. And then newsletters. The BizBash call sheet, which is now I think something like the daily sheet or something like that, is delivered to your inbox and has really great content. And we have an insider that tells you, just share with you information about technology every 2 weeks. It's free. Almost there, I promise. Twitter best practices. I don't think I have to go over this. I think everybody knows. So that's it. You can reach me over there. You can find out about e-touches and other solutions out there. And I so very much appreciate your time. I have 7 seconds left. I don't believe it. Am I exiting to the song?
You are.
Yeah, all right. I'm running out.